The Japanese Prime Minister says there's a race against time to find survivors of the country's earthquake as the number killed rose to 18. Dozens of people were injured. Tens of thousands have been left without power and water following the tremor that hit the south of the country. The quake struck at 4:27 p.m. local time yesterday and was strong enough to be felt in neighbouring South Korea. The epicenter was in the heart of Kumamoto prefecture on Japan's main south island of Kyushu. Japan's Ministry of Defence has released drone footage showing the damage inside a shopping centre which collapsed during and after the earthquake, thanks to the tremors and a subsequent suspected gas leak. Local media is reporting at least 3 people were killed inside the mall, with an unknown number of people trapped in the wreckage. Japan's Prime Minister says she'll direct all resources that she can to help rescuers. More than 3,000 military personnel and 20 aircraft have already been deployed.
There are many people who are still waiting for help, and it's a race against time. We will go all out to find and rescue as many people as we can.
Our Asia correspondent Helen Ann Smith has the latest.
I think the Japanese authorities are very much still in recovery mode. They believe there are people still missing. As you heard the Prime Minister Takaichi say there, the race is on to find those people. But look, the scale of the damage is big, and there's a big clear-up operation, and there are still many, many people without power, without water. So I think a sense that the situation remains very, very fluid indeed. The search and rescue operations are focused, of course, across that city, but there are 2 key sites where I think a lot of the injuries have been, sadly, where a lot of the casualties seem to have been. One of them is this Nippon paper factory, where a whole kind of huge chimney appears to have collapsed. The pictures are quite dramatic. They almost look as if the chimney's just been sort of decapitated. And we know that there are people still missing at that site. And the other site that's been the focus of a lot of attention is this big shopping centre, the Aeon shopping centre. There was the earthquake obviously struck, and there's videos of people evacuating. But then there appears to have been this huge explosion there, and it's not clear exactly what caused that explosion. And the pictures from there are pretty dramatic, with all this sort of metal having just been blasted out the side. And at least 2 people have died there. It's not that clear at the moment whether the casualties that we know sadly have occurred, where exactly they were or what those people were caught up in. But I'm sure as the hours tick by, we will get more information on that. And look, I think the authorities really throwing everything now at this rescue operation. In excess of 3,500 soldiers, 20 aircraft, some 300,000 people have been told to evacuate and sort of stay evacuated, stay in these evacuation shelters, because the authorities are really worried about aftershocks. This was a pretty shallow earthquake, only about 10 kilometres, and that means that the potential for aftershocks is higher. They've already been around 60 apparently, albeit not particularly strong ones, but the concern is real there. And then there are around 50,000 homes without power, 140,000 without water, and that's been a real problem for the hospitals as well. Lots of reports of hospitals saying that they're finding it difficult to get energy supplies. Some of their equipment's damaged. They're trying to sort of relocate their patients to other places, but there's not a whole lot of hospitals who are able to take them. And remember, that part of Japan at this time of year is incredibly hot, very, very humid, so people really kind of battling with those conditions too. The final thing just to say, though, is I do think it is quite remarkable, and we see this so often with earthquakes in Japan, how this really quite massive earthquake has caused actually relatively little damage and relatively low number of casualties. And that just says so much about just how remarkable Japanese infrastructure is and how well prepared it is for quakes. There are just these conditions and requirements within building regulations that require these buildings to have this sort of earthquake resistancy built in.